All right, so you're thinking about a new phone, huh? But not just any phone. You're in the market for something mid-range. A smart move, for sure. And from the looks of things, you've narrowed it down to two major players. The Samsung Galaxy A series, we're talking the A54 and the A35, and of course the ever-popular iPhone 16e. You even sent over a few articles, so it seems like you're not just interested in specs. You want to dive deeper into the real-world experience each phone offers. Smart move. Let's get into it.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating how Samsung and Apple are approaching this whole mid-range thing so differently.
Yeah.
It really speaks to their core design philosophies, I think, wouldn't you say?
Totally. It's like they're speaking different design languages, right? Like the articles were pointing out how sleek and modern Samsung is going with the A series, taking cues from their flagship S series,
Yeah.
Gorilla Glass, that kind of curved edge design. It just screams premium, even though it's mid-range. And they even managed to squeeze in an IP67 rating, so it can handle a little splash or dust. No
Yeah.
problem.
Exactly. And then you've got Apple sticking to their guns with that minimalist approach. The iPhone 16e with its aluminum and glass body, it's all about that compact premium feel. But they haven't skimped on durability either. IP68 rating on that bad boy, meaning it can handle a bit more water exposure if you happen to get caught in a downpour or something.
So right off the bat, we've got a key decision point for you, right? What kind of feel are you going for? Do you want that substantial feel of the Samsung with the larger display and curved edges, or are you leaning towards the one-handed comfortable grip of the iPhone?
It's almost like choosing between a statement piece and a trusted companion, right? And that choice impacts how you interact with the phone physically.
Yeah.
Samsung's going for that visual immersion with the larger display, while Apple's all about that ergonomic fit.
For sure. And speaking of visual immersion, we got to talk displays, right? Samsung's gone all in on AMOLED screens for both the A54 and the A35. You know what that means. Vibrant colors, deep blacks. And that super smooth scrolling thanks to the 120 hertz refresh rate. Perfect if you're watching a lot of videos or gaming on the go.
It's like the difference between watching a movie on an old TV and a brand new OLED. The AMOLED just brings those visuals to life. But Apple's going for something a little different with their Retina LCD on the iPhone 16e. They're really focused on color accuracy. Like, they want to make sure what you see on the screen is as true to life as possible.
So it boils down to this. Do you want a display that just wows you with those vibrant colors? Or one that prioritizes accuracy above all else? Like, imagine editing photos on one screen, those colors might just pop more. But on the other, those colors are going to be true to life.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And of course, we can't forget the brains behind all this beauty, right?
Yeah.
The processors. These articles are diving into some pretty interesting comparisons there.
Chipset breakdown time. The Samsung A54 comes with either the Exynos 1380 or the Snapdragon 778G, depending on where you are in the world. The A35 has a slightly less powerful chip, but honestly, both of them are going to handle your day-to-day tasks. No problem. You'll be zipping through email, scrolling through social media without a hint of lag.
And over on Apple's side, we've got the iPhone 16 rocking the A16 Bionic chip.
Yep.
Now, it might not be Apple's latest and greatest, but remember, they're known for squeezing some incredible performance out of their chips. So even though it's a mid-range phone, that 16e is going to handle multitasking, demanding apps, everything you throw at it.
And of course, you can't talk about performance without mentioning the software, right? The Samsung A series runs on One UI 6.1, built on Android 14, and One UI is all about customization. You can tweak pretty much every aspect of your phone's look and feel. If you're someone who loves to personalize their tech, this is going to be right up your alley.
And then on the flip side, you've got iOS 18 on the iPhone 16e. Apple's going all in on AI enhancements and that seamless integration with their ecosystem.
Yeah.
If you're already living that Apple life with a MacBook and AirPods, the 16 is going to slide right in there. Everything will just work.
So it comes down to this. Are you a customization junkie who wants to tweak every little detail? Or do you prefer the simplicity and that kind of polish of iOS where everything just works? Think about how you use your phone on a daily basis. That's going to be your biggest clue.
Couldn't agree more. Now, let's face it, in the smartphone world, the camera is king.
No arguments here. And the articles definitely point out some intriguing differences between these two phones. The Samsung A54 boasts a 50 MP main sensor with OIS. That's optical image stabilization, just in case you're not familiar. It helps keep your shot steady, even if your hands are a little shaky. Plus, you've got an ultra-wide lens for those sweeping landscapes, and a macro lens for capturing those tiny little details. It's like having a whole photography kit in your pocket.
And then you've got the iPhone 16e with its 12 MP main camera. And I know what you might be thinking, only 12 MP.
Yeah.
But this is where Apple's magic comes in, computational photography. They might not be winning the megapixel race,
Yeah.
But their software is doing some heavy lifting behind the scenes, making those images look incredible, especially in low light.
Yeah, it's like having a professional photo editor in your pocket, touching up every shot in real time. So do you want the versatility of multiple lenses? Or are you more about those consistently great images, even in tricky lighting?
Think about the kinds of photos you take the most. That's going to point you in the right direction. Now, before we move on, we got to talk about a feature that's become a major deal breaker for a lot of people: battery life.
Yeah, nobody wants to be tethered to a charger all day long, and the Samsung A54 is a serious contender in this department. It's packing a 5,000 milliamp battery. I'm talking a day and a half of use easy, even if you're really pushing it hard. Imagine, you're at a music festival all day, snapping pics and videos, and you're not even worried about your phone dying. That's the A54 battery life.
The A35's battery is a little smaller, but it's
Yeah.
still going to get you through a full
Yeah.
day, no problem. But let's not count Apple out just yet. Even though the iPhone 16 is a smaller battery, they're the masters of optimization, right? Their chips and software work in perfect harmony to squeeze every last bit of juice out of that battery.
So it's like choosing between a gas guzzler with a huge tank or a fuel-efficient car that sips gas. Both will get you where you need to go, but in different ways. Are you someone who needs that never-die battery security, or are you okay with topping up a bit more often knowing you're getting those benefits of the Apple ecosystem?
It's a classic trade-off,
Yeah.
but an important one to consider. Now, I think we've covered a lot of ground here. Design, display, performance, software, cameras, battery life. Feeling overwhelmed? Yeah.
I know, right? We've thrown a lot at you. But don't worry, we're here to help you make sense of it all.
Before we get to the price tag, though, I think it's worth, digging a little deeper into some of these features that really stood out to me in these articles.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Like, we've kind of skimmed the surface, but some of this tech deserves a closer look, especially if you're not, a total smartphone guru.
For sure. One thing that really impressed me was Samsung's commitment to display tech. Those AMOLED screens on the A54 and the A35, they're just gorgeous. And if you're not super techy, think of it this way. AMOLED. It's like having millions of tiny little light bulbs on your screen, each one able to switch on and off independently. And that's what gives you those incredible deep blacks and vibrant colors that just pop.
I've always been a little fuzzy on the whole AMOLED versus LCD thing. So it's like AMOLED is more about those dramatic eye-catching visuals, while Apple's Retina LCD on the iPhone 16 is about making sure the colors are displayed exactly as they should be.
Exactly. Imagine you're a photographer and you're editing, a beautiful sunset pic. On an AMOLED, that sunset might look absolutely breathtaking with those super vibrant oranges and reds.
Yeah.
But on the iPhone's LCD, you can be confident that those colors are true to life, exactly as you captured them.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it really depends on whether you're prioritizing, those super punchy colors or that guaranteed color accuracy. It's almost like choosing between an artfully edited photo and a raw, unfiltered one.
Great analogy. Now, we talked about processors earlier, but let's break it down a little further, especially for those who might not speak chipset. On the Samsung side, we've got the Exynos 1380 and the Snapdragon 778G. These are both solid mid-range performers. Think of them as like the reliable workhorses of the smartphone world. They're going to handle your everyday tasks, no problem.
And then there's the iPhone 16 with its A16 Bionic chip. Even though it's not Apple's, newest chip, it's still packing some serious power. It's like having a sports car engine in a family sedan. You might not be hitting top speeds all the time, but you've got that power under the hood when you need it.
And remember, Apple is known for their optimization, right? It's not just about raw power. It's about how well the hardware and software work together. It's like this perfectly choreographed dance between the chip and the operating system, making everything run smoothly and efficiently.
Speaking of operating systems, we kind of touched on software, but let's unpack that a bit more. Samsung's One UI, which is built on Android, it's like a playground for people who love customization. You can change the look and feel of pretty much everything from the icons to the way you multitask.
It's like having a box of Legos and being able to build whatever you want.
Yeah.
But then you have Apple's iOS, which is all about simplicity and that signature Apple polish. It's like stepping into a perfectly organized room where everything just makes sense. That's the iOS experience.
And you can't forget that iOS integrates seamlessly with the whole Apple ecosystem, right? So if you've got a MacBook AirPods and Apple Watch, it all just works together like a dream team.
It's like having a personal assistant who anticipates your every need and takes care of everything behind the scenes. Now, switching gears to something we all use every day, the articles highlighted some pretty interesting differences in approach here.
Oh, definitely. Samsung is all about giving you options with the A54. That 50MP main sensor with OIS means you're going to get sharp, detailed photos, even if you're not the steadiest hand. Plus, you've got that ultra-wide lens for capturing those epic landscapes and a macro lens for getting up close and personal with the tiny details, like having a whole photography kit in your pocket.
And while the A35's camera setup is similar, it does have slightly less processing power, so it might not be quite as quick at capturing those shots. But let's talk about the iPhone 16's camera for a sec. I know only 12 MP might not sound super impressive on paper, but Apple is doing some really remarkable things here with computational photography. Think of it this way. Every time you snap a photo with the iPhone 16, it's analyzing the scene, adjusting the colors, sharpening details, and even removing unwanted elements, all in real time.
It's like having a personal photo editor working their magic on every single shot. So it sounds like for you, it's less about having multiple lenses and more about just getting consistently high-quality images right.
Precisely. Now, last but not least, we have to talk about that all-important feature that can make or break a phone. Battery life.
We touched on this earlier, but it's worth revisiting. That Samsung A54's 5,000 milliamp battery is a beast. It's like having a marathon runner's stamina in your phone. You can go all day, maybe even two, without needing to recharge.
Even the A35 with its slightly smaller battery is going to power through a full day, no problem.
Wow.
But remember, the iPhone 16, even with its smaller battery, benefits from Apple's optimization wizardry. They've fine-tuned their software and hardware to be incredibly efficient. So you might be surprised by how long it lasts.
It's like comparing a powerlifter to a gymnast, right? The powerlifter has raw strength, while the gymnast is all about efficiency and finesse. Both can achieve some pretty amazing things, just in different ways.
And that brings us to the final consideration price. After all, we are talking mid-range phones here, so value for money is key.
All right, let's talk numbers. The Samsung A54 comes in at around $450, which is pretty impressive when you consider all the features it's packing. And if you're on a tighter budget, the A35 is even more tempting at around $350.
And then we've got the iPhone 16, which will set you back around $599, so you're definitely paying a bit of an Apple premium there.
So Samsung's winning on the features per dollar front for sure,
Yeah.
but Apple's offering that seamless, integrated experience that they're known for.
It really comes down to, your priorities and what you value most in a phone.
Sure.
Do you want the most bang for your buck in terms of raw specs and features? Or are you willing to pay a little extra for that Apple ecosystem and that renowned user-friendliness?
Yeah, tough choices, right? But that's what this whole deep dive is all about. We've covered so much ground here: design, display, performance, software, cameras, battery life, and of course, price.
We've really explored how Samsung and Apple are tackling this mid-range market, with their own unique philosophies. Samsung's pushing the boundaries with features and technology, while Apple's refining that core experience and making it accessible at a slightly lower price point.
And remember, there's no one right answer here. It all comes down to what matters most to you. Do you want that big, vibrant AMOLED screen and a battery that just won't quit? Or are you drawn to Apple's simple elegance and that seamless integration with your other Apple devices?
Think about how you use your phone on a daily basis. Are you a heavy multitasker? Someone who needs a phone that can keep up? A photography enthusiast who demands the best possible camera? Or maybe you just want a phone that's reliable and easy to use.
Exactly. This deep dive was all about giving you the knowledge you need to make an informed decision. So we encourage you to revisit those articles you shared, check out the spec sheets, maybe even watch some hands-on reviews to get a real feel for these phones.
And this is really just the beginning of your phone choosing journey. Now that you've heard our analysis, what questions are swirling around in your head? What additional research do you want to do before making your final decision? We'd love to hear from you.
Maybe you're wondering about specific features we didn't get to, or maybe you want to compare these phones to other options out there. Whatever your questions are, don't be shy.
This deep dive was just a starting point. Use it as a springboard to dive deeper, explore your options, and ultimately find the phone that perfectly fits your needs and your lifestyle.
And hey, maybe your question will inspire a future episode. Until then, happy phone hunting.